Hey, what's up, phone lovers? Welcome to the Mobile Roar podcast for the week of May 4th, 2017. I'm Joe Fidoa.
And I'm just Chris Chavez. That's it.
Chris forgot his name momentarily there. Nothing to be alarmed by.
I was trying to like send it off to Ashley, and then I was like, oh shoot, again.
Yeah, Ashley's not with us again. Hopefully she's with us sometime in the future again. We miss Ashley. But just the two of us again today on this most holy of Star Wars days.
Woohoo! Yeah. I used to get really excited about May 4th, and then now I'm just sort of like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's really nothing to get excited about. It's just kind of like a funny inside joke that's not really an inside joke anymore.
Yeah, it was fun the first couple of years that people started doing it, but now it's just sort of I don't know.
Because now like the official Star Wars accounts and like everything is all in on it, and it just lost some of its randomness.
Yeah.
But we have a good episode this week. We have a good topic to talk about.
Oh man.
So if you've been following the Galaxy S8, you've probably noticed that a lot of little issues have been popping up here and there. And a lot of these little issues are getting covered by like major tech blogs like Phandroid and many others. Some of these little issues are like random reboots. There was the red tint issue, which we already talked about. Screen burn-in, and then a new one this week was like a
new one.
People are calling it bleed, display bleed, but it's not really that. It's kind of like ghosting. I don't really know what to call it.
It's weird.
So when we wrote this article about this latest one, basically what it is like if you have a black line on a white background, you can kind of see the black line ghost all the way to the edge of the screen. Very
so strange.
Quickly. I saw it on my device. Chris, you saw it on yours, right?
Yeah.
So we wrote this post. Literally, probably one of the tamest headlines we've ever had. Some people are noticing display bleed on the Galaxy S8.
That's it. It's a fact. That's factual.
Yeah. Some people are indeed noticing it. And we got a lot of people complaining that every little issue about the Galaxy S8 is being overblown. Everybody's covering it, whereas like there's little issues that the LG G6 is having, and you know pretty much every phone has little issues that don't get covered as much. So Chris, why don't you share why that is happening?
It's mainly because we hate Samsung. We want to bash them.
That's the conspiracy theory. We are making up all these stories to sabotage.
Yeah, that's what some people are saying. Like, I don't know. It's weird that how some people identify with a brand and it's like it becomes a part of them. It's a part of their identity. But no, the Galaxy phones or the Galaxy S8 every year, it's the biggest, most popular Android device. I think even smartphone. I think like Samsung recently started beating Apple in their iPhone shipments. I think that might have changed last year though with the iPhone 7 or whatever. But so it's huge. Tons of people have it. Like the sheer volume that Samsung is shipping these devices in. Of course, if you take 1% of to 20 million devices, that's significantly more than 1% of the 100 or so that the G6 has sold. So these issues sort of get brought to light a lot quicker. They make the news rounds because us as just a news site or an Android blog, of course we know more people have the S8 than any of these other devices. So this is something that's worth talking about, worth putting out there. And then people just seem to think that, I don't know, it's frustrating. It's frustrating because when a new Galaxy comes out, it's sort of like the bread and butter for any YouTuber, any website, anybody. So we cover it. We cover it a lot, and I really think there's anything wrong with that. It's like the most popular phone. It doesn't mean it's terrible when it has these weird little issues or something like that. I think it's actually good. To me, if I was a Samsung Galaxy fan or whatever, Samsung fan, I would actually like that someone brought this to light and I could check it out on my device, see if my phone is affected, and then maybe get a replacement. I don't want to just bury my head in the sand and just pretend like everything's okay and, plug my ears up. But it's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
I guess the fanboys, as always, the fanboys of anything ruin it. But
yeah, I mean, I will admit that it isn't completely fair. It's not fair that like small, even phones less popular than the G6, there are a lot of Android phones, and even if we're not talking about bugs, there are a few Android phones that just get more attention. The S8, the G6, whatever's top HTC phone. These phones just always get more attention than a lot of the other smaller phones, even if it's good attention, even if it's bad attention. So
yep.
that's just how it is.
It's both ways. Yeah. I mean, I would love to write 100 posts about the Axon 7, but I mean, nobody owns the phone, so nobody's
you love the Axon. And people say, "Oh, you're just doing that because page views," and like that's one way to look at it. And for sure, Galaxy S8 stuff does get more page views, but also writing something about the Galaxy S8 is more valuable to more people.
There you go.
It helps more people.
I mean, and it's like that with anything that we write up on the site. I mean, there's we have a list of news items, and it's like, what would be more valuable to the reader? What is going to, spark interest or whatever? And it's like that's how you run the news, man. It's just it's the business.
Yeah, someone used the example like you guys did the same thing when Pokemon Go was new. You guys were just writing about Pokemon Go because it was a hot topic. Well, yeah, that's. I mean,
there was 10 million people using the game. I mean, geez.
Yeah, of course it was a hot. I mean, are we supposed to ignore the next new phone launch because it's just a hot topic?
It's just a hot topic. We'll write one post about it. Yeah, no, that's ridiculous.
It's annoying if you don't have the Galaxy S8. I feel your pain, but a lot of people bought the phone, and so there's going to be a flush of news right now, and. Are any of these issues actually big problems, Chris, do you think?
No. The best part, okay, like say like this weird ghosting thing, the newest one that people are kind of freaking out about is that it affects all AMOLED devices. So any phone that has an AMOLED panel has this issue. It's a problem with AMOLED displays and not so much the phone itself. So oh, that's an old notification.
His ringtone.
That's from like the G1 days. We'll get into that later, but so it just affects every phone, and it just kind of it's sad that it's always been there. That's the crazy part. It's always been there. It's just nobody noticed it until the Galaxy S8. Now that everybody has a Galaxy S8, some people are moving from like old LCD devices to the AMOLED ones, and now it's like these things get brought up and brought to light. And this is good because maybe Samsung will try to fix this in future, AMOLED panels or whatever. But it's just crazy because none of this stuff is a huge deal at all. Especially the red tinting, like that one drove me nuts. But
the red tinting. I mean, AMOLED displays always kind of have a slightly more of a reddish look. I think people overblew that one, but Samsung did roll out a fix for it, so I guess it was enough of an issue that they wanted to let people correct it.
To me, the phone is better for it because even though I didn't have that problem, the new option allows you to like kind of green up or yellow up your display, and then or get like a nice. I should turn that off.
Dude,
or get like a nice sort of like a pinker tone, which I like because on my monitor on my MacBook, the whites and everything are kind of a little more pinker leaning. So I like my phone to match up with my computer display, and like now I'm able to do that. Now, if people didn't bring up the red tinting issue, this would have never happened, and it just would have been whatever. But
dude, you were blowing up over there.
Ay, caramba.
You need to silence your devices.
Okay.
The random reboot thing, I don't know if that has really been made into a big issue. It seems like not a lot of people have experienced that one. I know I haven't. And the burn-in thing. What does that sound?
It's the answering machine. I gotta unplug the phone. BRB.
Okay. The burn-in thing we wrote about, and that's something that like every year, Samsung phones, I think people write about that. But Samsung actually does a pretty good job of making sure that doesn't happen. I don't think you really have to worry about that unless you like have your phone on super bright all the time and you just like leave the display on for 10 hours. Because like, so I have the Galaxy S8 set for the always on display, just has the home button on the screen and nothing else. And Samsung actually, they make it so that this home button slightly moves every so often so that you don't get burn in.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. There was an article about it that I read. And so like it does the same thing with the clock and everything on the always on display. So
That part I knew.
they actually do like try to prevent burn in. And like I was saying while you were gone, Chris, I don't think it's something that most people have to worry about.
No, not usually. Because I mean, usually it's the static images that are just going to be there no matter what. But like the navigation bars and the status bars and stuff. But it's not even like a huge issue. And there are ways to prevent it. I wrote like a nice little post, kind of highlighting a ton of different ways to sort of prevent burn-in from happening. And I guess the technical term isn't really burn-in. Someone was telling me, one of my buddies, and
for AMOLED, it's not burn-in
because it's not permanent. So it's more like image retention or like, so it's sort of like a temporary thing. So, I mean, there is ways to reverse it. And in my post, I kind of highlight a bunch of cool ways to do that. So it's sort of just the nature of AMOLED. It's been going on since, like we kind of mentioned before, this isn't nothing new. It's been going on since AMOLED first, was introduced on mobile phones. But people like to make sort of big deals about some things sometimes.
So moral of the story is there's just a huge user base. Any little issue is going to get reported by more people. Also, the Note 7 put everyone like on edge. So, and we even talked about this before the phone was announced. Samsung even talked about this. Everyone knew this was going to be the case. I mean, when you have a disaster like the Note 7, people are going to be looking at your next phone very, very, very closely.
Scrutinizing it, and just waiting, hoping for some cool clickbaity headline. They want it to blow up. The haters,
right?
They don't want you to win.
I tweeted this. I don't think I actually said this on the podcast, but the first like week or so that I had this Galaxy S8, I was actually a little paranoid about leaving it on the charger all night.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah, just because of the Note 7 thing, I was like, nothing happened with the Note 7 for a couple weeks, so I'm like, I don't know. But nothing to be worried about.
Keep it in a bucket of sand. That's when I would charge it. Charge it in some sand in case it explodes.
It's a good phone overall. Chris and me will probably have reviews coming out soonish for the S8 and the S8 Plus. So stay tuned for that. Meanwhile, we've been doing a lot of comparisons. So Chris did a comparison today where he took the S8 and he put it up against all the last few Galaxy S. So S7, S6, and S5. And the results will surprise you, as they say.
I mean, when I told Joe, I think it was like last week when I first started working on the post, like about my idea, like, I'm just going to, compare the different Galaxy phones to kind of see the evolution, to see how far we've come. And I was expecting just like really, it was just kind of like a fun post. Like I specifically told Joe, like, this is just sort of a fun post just to kind of see, like, of course the S8's going to win. And I was expecting the S5 to be like absolute trash because in my memory, I don't know why, but I figured it's like 5 years old or whatever, and it's really old, and there's no way it's good. The results, they were super surprising. It turns out that the S6 is like my favorite performing Galaxy camera, I think. just looking at those results. The low light, not so much. But yeah, so I don't know. It was interesting, and there was kind of a little backstory. I had actually posted it or written up the post yesterday, and then I had it scheduled for this morning to go live on Phandroid. And our boss like went into a panic. Rob Jackson went absolutely nuts because he was freaking out because he was so surprised by the results that he thought there was a mix-up. I don't know if he was watching too much like weirdness, like the Academy Awards, how they announced like the wrong Best Picture, and he was just like, he went into full panic mode, and it was like, oh my gosh! And then he, messaging me, telling me to wake up because I posted it before, super early in the morning, and I was like, no man, those are the results, dude. Take it as you will, dude. It's just
he wasn't the only one. I'll say, like a couple of the other people working here were not for sure that you had screwed it up either, because I mean the pictures are pretty shocking.
Yeah. And it was kind of, I don't want to say I bought into the hype, but like, I mean, if you see reviews and people are calling, the phone, you automatically assume it's new technology. It's got a new sensor. The camera specs are so much better than previous generation Galaxies. So you kind of just go into it thinking like, without a doubt, the S8 will perform better. And that's kind of what I was expecting. It wasn't until I started like looking at the photos on my computer that I was like, wait a minute, what the F? And I even had to, after labeling them and doing all the stuff, like importing them from my phone, I had to, when I was looking at the results, I was so surprised that I thought I mixed it up. So I had to go and I had to upload it and look at the EXIF data, all the metadata, and make sure, like double check, because I couldn't believe what was happening. But the Galaxy 8 photos are extremely soft. Very, very soft. And it's just, I guess it's Samsung's new way of like post-processing. They use a very, very aggressive noise filter. And I've seen that before, like in the iPhone and stuff. And it was just really surprising because back in the S6 and the S5, Samsung was kind of known for over sharpening their photos. And a lot of people commented on that. They said, well, Samsung's, it's like artificially over sharpened. And generally speaking, most people said that they like that. Like, well, I mean, it's overly sharpened, but it actually looks nice because it just looks more clear and crisp. But I guess Samsung took that as like bad, something bad, and they fixed it with the S7 and S8. So yeah, the results are just crazy. So the S7 and S8 are pretty much identical as far as photo quality is concerned, with the S8 just being a tad bit cooler. And then the S6 and S5 are like pin sharp. And some people, I think a lot of people were surprised at how well the S5 did. I mean, I was taken aback. In daylight photos. In low light, the S8 and S7 tend to do better.
Yeah.
Although there were times where the S6 was able to get like a crisper shot, but usually it was just really kind of darker, too dark. But yeah, I was sending, as I was working on the post, and I was literally shook myself, and I was sending the comparisons to a buddy of mine, and he couldn't believe it. He told me I lost my mind, that I've gone off the deep end. It's impossible that these older Galaxies could somehow take better photos than the new Galaxy S8 and stuff. But
yeah. This is mentioned in the post, but just in case someone goes to look at the pictures and doesn't read the post, tell them about the settings.
So on all of them, I turned off HDR, just to put them on an even playing field. I didn't want some of them shooting in HDR mode while other ones didn't.
Does the S5 have HDR?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
And I mean, the main reason for that was just because it was such like older hardware. HDR might not fire off correctly, and it was just it was too much of a I forget whatever they call that, but I didn't want that sort of discrepancy, and I wanted to keep things pretty much even. And before I left the house, I washed my hands like I always do. So there was like no grease on my fingers. Every time I took a photo, I had a microfiber cloth in my pocket, and I'd wipe off the lens just to make sure it's perfectly clean and clear. And that was one of the things that, like, when I saw the photos from the S8, when I zoomed in on them, I noticed there was a lot of it was like kind of, it looks blurry and soft, but not just that, but like some of the like strong colors would sort of bleed out, like almost like they're glowing. And that usually means, one, you have grease on your lens, which I didn't have, so I knew that wasn't the issue. And then I wasn't like 100% sure that wasn't the case until I looked at your photos with the G6 comparison, and I saw the same thing on yours. You would zoom in on some of the close-ups, the flowers, like the yellows would sort of glow, and on the G6 they were just nice, sharp. You know, there's no like color bleeding. I don't even know what the word is for that, like chromatic aberrations or, yeah, there was none of that going on. So it's just how the camera is, and you kind of see the same problems with the S7 Edge as well. So there's really not much difference as far as the two cameras are concerned. But I mean, I learned a lot. I learned a lot by that post, I just want to say. And it's nuts. It's just because something's the latest doesn't mean it's necessarily the greatest. So
yeah, it's a very comprehensive comparison. I definitely encourage everybody to go look at it.
Yeah. And that wasn't my intention. Just so people know, I just want to put that out there again. I was just as surprised as anybody else was. Like, I couldn't believe it.
He was telling me about it, and he was like, it would be a fun thing to show just how technology has improved over the years, because you assume the S8 next to the S5 is going to be like this monstrous difference, where it really is not.
Yeah, it's nuts. So yeah, go check it out.
What is the on the S5? I know megapixels doesn't really matter that much, but how many megapixels does the S5 have?
S5, I believe, is 16 megapixels. The S6 is 16. I think that on the S5 is 13. So like Samsung was going up, they were doing that whole megapixel thing.
Yeah.
And then
now they're back down to 12. Here's
the crazy part. This is also something I was kind of noticing too. Was just there's a lot of crap that HTC got back in the day for using like a 4 megapixel or 8 megapixel. I forget what it was. Like their ultra pixel sensors.
Yeah.
Because they perform better in low light. There was a lot brighter shots in low light. But if you cropped or zoomed in at all, you could see that there was a total loss of detail. And people gave HTC so much crap over that. And that's sort of what is happening with the S8 and S7. It's just, there's a lot less detail. When you crop or zoom in from far away, you take a photo and you look at it, it looks great. It looks fantastic, actually. But cropping in or zooming in at all, then you lose all that detail and stuff. So, yeah, 12 megapixel, 16 megapixel, 13 megapixel. And the results are crazy.
So like Chris said, I also did a comparison. I did a camera test with the S8 versus the G6, and I found a lot of the same things that Chris found. One thing that I noticed is that you do get more detail with the S8. It seems like if you're close to something.
Macro shots. I should have mentioned this. Yes. The macro shots are really, really, really good. Really good.
Yeah, because that's what a lot of my test was, were things pretty close to the camera. So there was not a lot of difference. And since, the S8 photos are they look like they've been edited, like someone turned up the contrast and saturation. Mm-hmm. So that also makes them look a little bit more detailed when you have a close-up shot too, because the contrast is better. But like there's one of the photos that I did where I zoomed in and took it from far away, and you definitely see, that's the flower photo that you were talking about.
Yeah.
You definitely see the same thing that was in Chris's photos. So and also like Chris said, the S8 did better in low light than the G6 did, but in a lot of these, the G6 did better.
Yeah, I looked at your posts and pretty much walked away with thinking that the G6 photos looked a little bit better. Generally speaking, I think in the close-up, the macro shots, I don't know what is up with the Galaxy S8, but they have so much, like they have the depth of field, so they have this nice smooth bokeh effect. So it's like they blur out the background. They're super detailed when it's super close and stuff, but just when far away and stuff like that. I don't know. I didn't really mention this before, but The problem is just that the S8 and the S7, Samsung has changed their software processing so that they smooth out anything that they think might be noise, and they go hard, like balls to the wall, super aggressive with this. So the problem with that is that when you have textures like grass, concrete, fabrics, like my couch, just about anything that they might be confused as noise, it'll just smooth it out. Like you got a smudge tool and just boop, 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 boop.
Just like a little bit before this podcast, I tweeted a picture of this case, which is a heathered.
That looks like noise.
And on the picture on Twitter, you can see that some parts of this look blurry.
Yeah, smudged. They smudged it out. It's nuts. It sucks because in a way, I mean, I could see how some people might say like the S6 is kind of overdoing it with the sharpening back then. But then, there needs to be like a middle ground, I feel like. And Samsung just went completely the opposite direction. And now they're trying to smooth out everything and hide any bit of noise from their photos. And it's like, it would have been nice to have seen some sort of middle ground, or just maybe like at a specific ISO setting. Like once your ISO hits like 800, then kick on that noise filter and smudge out anything that might be noise. But anything below that, you don't need to go they don't need to be so aggressive with it. It's just kind of weird. So it is something that could be fixed in a software update, but I don't think Samsung has any intention of doing that. And I think everyone's pretty much content with the camera, so they're not going to change nothing.
I will say that I had a poll on my post, and it was pretty even. 58% thought the G6 did better. 41% thought the S8 did better. So definitely in favor of the G6. But it's really interesting to me. In the comments, there are people saying, "Oh, the G6 is the clear winner." And
clear winner.
The S8 is a clear winner. So definitely look at these photos for yourself. Don't just let our opinion tell you what is better, because it is a really personal thing. Some people just prefer certain photos better. So definitely look at these photos for yourself and make your own decision.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what else did we do? I will mention I did a video test also, and the S8 does not have very good stabilization. I know it feels like we're just crapping on the S8, but this is something pretty much everyone that commented on the video said was that the S8 had really bad video stabilization.
Yeah. I've seen this in comparisons with the iPhone as well, and it's sort of like a again, they're sort of overcompensating because they use electrical image stabilization and they're using optical, and they turn that stuff way up, so things just look. Yeah,
there's the jelly.
Artificial. Yeah, that weird. It's all like you're underwater. it's so odd. Whereas the iPhone, you're gonna have a little bit more shake and stuff, but that's just natural movement. If you're actually moving, I mean, it shouldn't be, and just it creates. So the shot's a little more unstable, but there's less artificial, weird jelloing, which I kind of prefer. I like the S6 or the G6 and the iPhone way of doing it personally.
And someone in the live chat says you can turn off stabilization, and yes, you absolutely can. I was just doing a comparison with it on both phones, so. But yeah, you can definitely just turn it off if you don't want to.
And that's what I usually do, especially when I shoot in 4K too. And I shoot in 4K. I just keep the optical image stabilizations on by default, and I just turn off the electrical one. Yeah, because it's too weird, too artificial.
All right, so moving on from that, we just to follow up, we do have a lot of comparisons, so definitely make sure that you guys go check that stuff out if you are trying to decide between the two of those phones. But moving on to other news, Google announced the basically how long the Pixel is going to be supported, which is kind of interesting because this is probably going to be the standard for Pixel devices going forward. So the Pixel and the Pixel XL, they will get Android version updates until October 2018. So that means
next year.
Yeah, Android O. God, what are we on? Android,
We're on
Android O, and
P.
everything after that until October 2018, and then they will stop getting security updates the year after that, October 19th or 2019. Sorry. So pretty good. I mean, that's pretty long support. The phones were first launched in what?
Last year.
Yeah, 20 for sure 2016. But was it in the fall? It was in the fall, right?
It's been about 6 months. So yeah, I think it was in the fallish time.
Okay.
So yeah.
So that's 2 years of Android version updates and 3 years of security updates, right?
That's kind of the standard. Yeah, you would think it would be longer than that because I feel like this is that's sort of the standard with their hardware partners like Samsung and HTC and LG and them. They sort of only support them for like 2 years. After that, it's just they get kicked to the curb. But kind of a little bit surprising, I want to say. I would have
I think it's
assumed maybe
pretty
3 years. I'm happy with it. I mean, I don't really keep a device more than 2 years anyway, but I feel like was there backlash? Were people pissed off about that at all? I didn't really.
Some people were saying that it wasn't that impressive compared to everyone else, just because I think Pixel phones and Nexus phones have the reputation of like being supported so well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said, this is really not that much more than like non-stock Android phones. So,
I mean, people always compare it to like the iPhone and stuff, and how iPhones continually get updates. And, but I mean, like it's not really. I mean, I guess it is sort of comparable because this is Google's device, but sometimes these older Apple devices get updates sort of like to their detriment. They don't. They just perform worse and worse and worse, and they don't get all the features, and it's like this weird Frankenstein old handset. So
I think getting the security updates for 3 years is important, and that's good.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I can live with that.
And also in this list, so the Nexus 6P and the Nexus 5X will no longer get Android version updates past September this year. So they will probably get Android O, and then that will be it for them. All right, moving on. There will be a Note 8. This has kind of been up in the air just because, people have speculated, us included, are they going to get rid of the Note name? But it looks like they are going to be keeping it, which is probably okay.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think it'll be fine. I mean, I did mention him being a little paranoid with my Galaxy S8. So I don't know, but yeah, I think it will probably be all right.
I'm just curious to see the changes between the Note and the like the S8 Plus. I think there was like a lot of rumors about it having like a dual camera or something on the Note 8. The dual camera that they were going to originally include on the S8, but I guess they didn't have time, or for whatever reason they didn't. But
it would be awesome especially for a big phone like the Note, if they can get the fingerprint thing figured out.
Just twist it like clockwise, 90 degrees. Just and then put the fingerprint right below the camera, and I'm a happy camper. That's all they got to do.
I would love to see them finally get it built into the display though, like they're wanting to. That would be awesome.
They might. That's a good point. That would be really cool.
Moving on, HTC U11. So this is the phone that has been like rumored as the HTC U Ocean. That was a code name. It's going to be a successor to the HTC 10. And now we know that it actually is going to be called the HTC U11, which is kind of, I don't know how I feel about the HTC U branding.
It's awful to me. I think it's the worst thing on the planet. They have these like taglines that they always plug on social media and stuff, and it's like brilliant you.
Yeah.
What? Like there's something lost in the translation there, and it's like it's so
So we got like a big spec dump this week for the HTC U11. Some of the highlights: 5.5-inch LCD display, 7.1.1 Nougat, Snapdragon 835, 4 or maybe 6 gigabytes of RAM, 12 megapixel camera on the front, or excuse me, on the rear, and a 16 megapixel camera on the front. 3000 milliamp hour battery. So pretty standard, but good improvements, and it will have the Snapdragon 835, which people are going to like because the G6 didn't have that.
Yeah, G6 didn't have it, and then I think the big phone, the U Ultra, which sounds like it would have better specs than the U11, but whatever. That one had like a Snapdragon 810, and the RAM wasn't that great, and the battery was three. Like people really crapped on it for not really being up to snuff with the hardware specs. So this looks like they're fixing all that with their flagship. So,
and they're really playing up this squeeze thing. They released a video that was literally just hands squeezing things like sponges and lemons.
What are they thinking? What is that? Like, I mean,
it was a well-made video, but like,
according to the leaks, that it's going to be some sort of squeezy UI. Like, it's pressure sensitive sides.
Yeah,
you're able to sense pressure, so you can
like you're going to be able to squeeze it. I think you're going to be able to run your finger along the side to do things. It could be really cool. I mean, I'm pretty curious about it.
Yeah, I want to see how it handles. Yeah, I mean, it could be like you said, it could be nice. I'm all about shortcuts to apps and all that stuff, and if it works really seamlessly and nice. I hate sort of Samsung's method or anyone's method where they put like little handles like that kind of encroach on the display and you accidentally swipe them and stuff. I hate that stuff, but this would be cool. But I mean, it seems kind of gimmicky from the sound of it. We'll have to see.
Yeah, a lot of stuff is though. I mean, a lot of the stuff on Samsung phones is gimmicky. LG has done gimmicky stuff. People do gimmicky stuff all the time.
Yeah, true.
All right, Chris, talk about the jelly.
Yes, last week I got the jelly.
Look at that.
So apparently on Amazon, there's these like sort of these weird little tiny mini little Android devices. And the ones that are currently on Amazon are so crazy underpowered. I mean, they've got like 356 megabytes of RAM. All this, like the processor's terrible and everything. But this one is a newly Kickstarter. It just hit Kickstarter. It's called a jelly. And I'm pretty sure they all come from the same manufacturer, the same factory out of China. But it's about, I think on the Kickstarter price is like $65, so it's pretty cheap. It's just a tiny little Android device that seems like it would be too small to even be usable, but it's surprisingly you can use it, and it's actually quite good. I feel almost silly for like liking it so much. I just thought, oh, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Let me ask for a review unit and see how it is. And then was just like, I can't believe how fun it is. I just sort of had this little thing about small technology things. Like I had a Game Boy Micro back in the day, which was like a Game Boy Advance, but it was like this big. It was like my favorite Game Boy ever. And this sort of just reminds me of that. It fits in like your fifth pocket. The performance is so good, surprisingly. Mine is the low end model, which has 1 gigabyte of RAM, but they have like a slightly higher one, which has more internal storage, I think 16 gigabytes, and then 2 gigabytes of RAM, which I wouldn't recommend anybody going to 1 gigabyte. But like, this is just Instagram, and it's just like loads up everything, and then you can do everything you can do on any other phone, just like on a tiny itty bitty display. And typing is surprisingly like not bad. I can just type and send people messages. I'm not sure what the use case is for it. That's why I'm trying to like, who is this phone for?
Well, the thing that kind of kills it for me is I've heard that battery life is terrible because obviously it's a tiny battery.
Yeah, I think the battery is like 750 milliamp hour. I don't even know, but like, so it is small. I wouldn't say it's terrible. It lasts me through the day. It's just like by the end of the day, you're gonna have to charge it up. The benefit of having such a tiny battery, though, is when you plug it in, I mean, it's fully charged like within, I want to say like a half hour or something. Little camera on the back. It's just got all these crazy little features inside of it too. It's just It's great. It's fun. I don't know how else to explain it. I like it, and I would carry this as like a secondary device if I could. But
The thing, like for me, if I got a small like secondary device, I would want it to almost be like a dumb phone and just have a battery that lasted a long time. Having just a tiny smartphone that I still have to charge every night is not something I'm really interested in.
that's true. That's a good point. I want to say like everyone was going crazy over that new Nokia phone that they announced at like Mobile World Congress, and it was just like it's a dumb phone. Why is everyone getting excited for a dumb phone? And then this came out, and I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of get it. It's like the appeal of a small phone, but I mean, I guess where Nokia has the leg up is that those things last like weeks without having to be charged.
They're not running a full blown smartphone OS.
Yeah, and whereas this you could do a whole lot more. I mean, I can reply to Twitters and.
I mean, I guess you could like maybe set it up like a dumb phone and just not install like anything.
Yeah,
But
right now I just have literally the basics. I mean, super basic stuff. And I think maybe I would even probably remove a lot of that stuff if I like disable some of the apps, and maybe you can get a little bit better battery life. But it's just there's something so fun about it. I don't know why.
so
I
how
like
much does that thing cost?
65 for the 1 GB, 8 GB of internal storage model. It does have a micro SD card, so when you put it in, not every phones have the adoptable storage feature, but this does. So I put in like my fastest 64 GB SD card, adopted it as storage, and now I have crazy amounts of storage. So I can put tons of apps, I can put tons of videos and photos if I wanted to take it with this phone. For some reason, the front-facing camera is better quality than the rear. It's like it's such a weird thing. But I don't know. Maybe it's like a burner phone. Maybe it's sort of a secondary phone. Maybe you're going someplace and you got to be like covert, and they don't let you take your smartphone in, but you can get away with like this. I don't know. I don't know what the who would want to buy this, but it's just it's fun. I really
Cool.
like it.
All right, rounding up the news, Sheeple officially added to the dictionary.
Oh snap! And you won't believe the example for Sheeple that they're using. Of course.
Now, was this the Merriam Webster? Which dictionary was this?
Merriam-Webster. No, wait. What's the other one?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of dictionaries now.
It's a double word. It's a double named one. It's like the popular one.
Yeah. Okay. It is Merriam-Webster. I got it up here. Do you want me to read the official definition?
Yes, go for it.
All right. Sheeple. People who are docile, compliant, or easily influenced. People likened to sheep.
Okay.
And one of the examples, Apple's debuted a battery case for the juice-sucking iPhone. An ungainly, lumpy case the Sheeple will happily sell out $99 for.
Dang.
Yep. There you go.
I mean, that's the perfect example of its use in a sentence, I think.
Yes, that case for sure brought out so many sheeple. Like I specifically remember Casey Neistat, he bought that. Like Casey Neistat, this guy who's all about like good design and yada yada yada, and he talks about how ugly this case is, and yeah, he walks into the store and buys one.
It happens with every Apple fanboy or just any Apple, I guess, just general fan. I mean, they complain. They know the faults of the hardware. They know they're overpaying for stuff. They know, whatever. But they still begrudgingly will go wait in line and buy whatever product it is. It's insane. It's crazy. It really
Accessories is the dumbest thing because there are so many Apple accessories from like non-Apple companies that
very true.
You do not have to settle for that ugly battery case. There are so many other options.
It just could have made it more form fit. I don't understand why they just literally had it's like
that was
a vacuum sealed battery that's on the back of it.
Not one of their best. All right, wins and fails of the week. So mine is not really mobile related, but is tech related. I wish Ashley was here to talk about this. But I finally got to play Zelda Breath of the Wild over the weekend. And one of my friends, he has a Wii U. So it wasn't the Switch, but it was on the Wii U. And I have not played that many Zelda games in my life. I'm not a gamer. It's probably like the first Zelda game I've like legitly played. And I thought it was really fun. I had a lot of fun with it. The only thing I was annoyed by was just the Wii U controller. So I feel
you
like
have to use the big tablet thing. Oh, okay, yeah, that's awful.
but the game itself is just, I thought it was really fun. I liked it a lot. So finally understand all the hype of that game.
Yes. the one
I
thing,
only completed like 5 of the what are they called?
shrines.
Yeah, the shrines.
Okay.
And apparently there's like 120.
There's
shrines.
a ton. I've only probably done maybe like 12, and I've had the game forever. So
my buddy that I was playing it with, he completed 65 shrines.
Jeez.
But yeah, it's really fun. I could definitely see myself playing that game.
Did you start from the beginning, or did you pick up like where he?
Yeah, I started a brand new.
Oh, dang, you got that far. That's not bad.
It's pretty good. I played for a couple hours. It was pretty fun.
Nice.
All right, and then my fail. Facebook Messenger is getting so laggy.
I honestly, it used to be a time where I loved opening the app and like messaging. Now I'm like, I
and it's not just one phone. I've noticed this on both the Galaxy S8 and the G6. I open the app and it does. Oh, you can't see because the display is super bright. It does this. Oh, it loaded. That little spinny thing just spins, connecting, and then loads a message. And it takes a while.
Yeah, it's a thing now. My problem.
Sorry, go ahead.
Is when it's loading like that, and then I'm like waiting for it, and then my conversation, it's like connected, and then I'm like, cool. I go to click the top whatever conversation I have, and then the stories come down, and I click a story. This happens to me like on a daily basis. It's the most frustrating.
Your problem right there is you're looking at Facebook stories.
No, it's just Messenger. I can't get rid of them. I wish there was an option to hide them.
Don't feed into the Facebook stories. Don't even watch them, Chris.
I wish. I'm not even trying to watch them. I want to hide them.
Let's do a test right here. I haven't opened Messenger in a while on the G6, so let's see how long it takes to load.
Hangouts is pretty bad too, I feel like. What's it doing?
White screen, white screen, white screen, white screen, white screen, white screen, and conversations. So yeah, that took a good amount of time.
I think I blame it on stories.
I've went to bat for you so much on this podcast about having a good messaging app, and I'm starting to think about switching to another app. So
is there a way to go back? Can we get like an old APK and would it work, or would they tell you to like you have to update it or something?
Seriously, that's a good point.
I would love to go back. There is Messenger Lite.
Oh, that's right. I need to check that out.
Which I've actually been meaning to check out as well. Oh,
right.
I'm kind of curious to see that one.
Cool. So, Chris, what do you got?
My win for the week is going to be probably my favorite feature on the Galaxy S8. It's a feature called Separate App Audio. And for people haven't talked about this, I haven't seen anyone talking about it. Usually when people talk about the audio or Bluetooth stuff on the S8, they're talking about dual audio, which is like the ability to connect to 2 different like Bluetooth speakers, which is cool. I think it's a very awesome feature. I love it. But there's a better feature, I think. It's called Separate App Audio, and it basically allows you to only broadcast, well, in theory, only broadcast the audio from a specific app to a Bluetooth audio device. So say, for instance, in theory, you would be able to choose Spotify and say, play Spotify on my Bluetooth speaker, but have everything else play through my normal phone speaker. So if you're in a car and you're connected and you're the designated DJ and you're playing music, and you still want to be able to browse, YouTube or Reddit, and you want to watch a video and you don't want it to kill the music, and have it broadcast through all these speakers, this would be the way to do it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get that specific function working like 100%. But I was able to choose, say, like Facebook. I chose Facebook, and I had it only broadcast through my phone speaker. And then I can still connect to like Bluetooth and play Spotify, and all the other sounds on my phone would go through the Bluetooth speaker. So kind of like a weird backwards way to do it. But it wouldn't really work the other way like it was supposed to. But super highly underrated feature, and I think it's great for anyone that listens to a lot of music on the S8 and they connect to Bluetooth speakers and that sort of thing.
That is really cool.
My fail for the week is this weird little game trend thing that was going on Facebook. If anyone spends any time on Facebook, you probably saw some of your friends or family posting this thing called like #concerts, 10 concerts. And basically people list off 10 concerts they've been to, but one of them is a lie. And you have to, for some reason, they think that you're interested in this and that you would want to play the game and try to figure out which concert they're lying about. Silly game, but extremely popular. It was like the top trending thing on Facebook for a while. And the problem with it was that there are security questions. Apple has this on iCloud, but one of the security questions is, what is the first concert you've ever been to? And chances are, most people have probably only been to maybe 10 concerts in their life, maybe less. So if they're posting 10 concerts, one of those might be the answer to that security question. So it kind of put people at risk a little bit, but it was just kind of like, I feel like sometimes these things come out of like 4chan, and they sort of like devise these things like, we should make this a trend, and we can it's like a phishing scam of some sort or something. But so kind of a big fail. And if you know anybody participating, I don't know if it's a thing anymore, but don't do it, or at least don't put your security question in there.
So Chris, I just installed this Facebook Messenger Lite.
Ooh,
it is amazing.
Shut up.
You need to install it. You can't install it from the Play Store because it's only for like, it's the same as the Facebook Lite full app. It's for like emerging markets and stuff.
Yes,
but they work just fine from APK Mirror. And also, here's a little tidbit. I have never been to a music concert.
There you go.
Of any sort. I've literally never been to a concert. That always blows people's minds.
That is absolutely nuts.
All right, app picks. Mine is going to be a little app you may have heard of called Google Earth. Reason I'm recommending it this week is because they did a huge revamp on Google Earth. They rolled out a brand new Earth, they said, and it is very, very cool. There's a lot of new stuff. They have a lot more 3D models on Earth now. So like even my neighborhood has 3D. Like all the houses are 3D, all the trees are 3D, which is really cool. A lot of new like just like field trip stuff and information and like tours and all this good stuff. It's really cool if you haven't looked at Google Earth in a while, which I feel like Google Earth was this really cool thing a couple of years ago. Yeah. And people forget that it's actually still around, but it is, and it's still really cool. And I actually, my friend that I was talking about earlier that I was playing Zelda, he also has a Oculus Rift, and there's a Google Earth app for the Rift, which is insanely cool. It has all the same new information, like the new version of Earth on it. And you can like grab the sun and like move the sun around so you can see different types of, or different times of day. It's super fun. So check out Google Earth if you haven't in a while.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm actually really jealous because I wanted to play that Rick and Morty game that came out for the Oculus Rift and Vive and all that. The VR.
Yeah, I'm kind of lucky. Find someone that loves video games and be friends with them, because
the best thing you can do.
Yeah, my buddy, I mean, I've probably mentioned so many times in this podcast of like, oh, I got to try to play this and this and this, because I have a friend who like is super into video games and he has all the new systems and everything. So yeah, I think the only thing he doesn't have right now is the Switch, which I'm sure he'll have pretty soon.
Awesome. Messenger Lite, it's not installing on the S8 in case anyone's curious. Yeah, it's just frozen. It won't even.
That sucks. It works fine on my G6.
I've seen this before, but like the install button doesn't do anything, and you just click the install button, nothing happens. So.
Do you have an app running a screen overlay right now?
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it's kind of, not really,
because that can screw up that install button sometimes.
Let me try this. Yeah.
But what's your app pick, Chris?
My app pick is going to be. I thought I had a good one. Ooh, Face App. Yep. So there is a super fun little app. It's almost, I wouldn't say a one-time use type of thing, but I mean, it kind of is. But it's called Face App, one word. And if you spent any time on Twitter or Facebook or anything, people are posting these all the time. And it's a crazy fun little app that basically takes your face and it can make you old. It shows you what you look like if you were old. It can artificially put a smile on you if you're not smiling, and those are just hilarious. But the best part is that it can transform you into a different gender. So you can, if you're a guy, you can see what you would look like as a super hot chick, or maybe ugly chick, I don't know. And vice versa. So it's so much fun. I've been doing it with like my whole family, and I send people photos of what they look like when they're old, or if they were a girl, or my girlfriend did it, and she looks kind of like an ugly dude, so she wouldn't be very very good as a dude. But one of my guy friends actually is a super babe. If he was.
There's also the baby mode.
Oh yeah, the little baby one where it
gets rid of my beard. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. And then normally, I mean, I feel like there's been apps that have done this before in the past and stuff like that. But this one, I don't know what kind of software stuff they're doing, but it's
some
actually
nightmare fuel for you.
It's pretty good. I mean, they do something with like servers, and then they upload it photo, and they have to like convert it and do all this stuff. I think they match you up with maybe somebody that looks like you. Oh, do you look like your dad at all?
This makes me look like my grandpa, which is weird.
Oh shoot.
It's actually really creepy.
Yeah, I did mine, and I sent it to my family, and they were like, "You look exactly like your dad." And yeah, it was pretty scary. Well, I look like an okay chick. I'm not like super whatever, but my brother, as a girl, is the spitting image of my sister. It was uncanny, and when I sent it to my family, everyone was tripping out. They like could not believe it. So, it's a lot of fun, and it's free. So yeah, check it out.
Cool. Yeah, it is fun. So I think that's going to wrap things up. We didn't get any email questions this week. I don't think I missed any email question or any questions in the live chat. Yeah, someone, Brian Edens. Seems like everyone wants to make a gate issue on every major phone release now. Yeah,
that's true.
It is like that.
I hear it. But and like some of the stuff, like I mean, we mentioned in our post too. It's like we kind of give our opinion on it. It's like it might not even be a big deal to you, or maybe it's not a big deal to us, but we're just passing along the info. But it does sort of seem that way that any major phone, like just wait till the iPhone comes out and people start using whatever gate they find for that one.
Yeah, that's the thing people forget. I mean, this is not just like people attacking Samsung. It happens with the iPhone too.
Yep. Because it's the most popular smartphone in the world. So,
all right, that's gonna wrap things up, guys. Thanks to everyone in the live chat for participating with us. If you're listening to the audio version right now and you want to be here for the live chat, we record these every 2 weeks at around 2 p.m. Eastern time on the Phandroid YouTube channel. Just FYI. If you want to email us questions, comments, concerns, anything else, our address is podcast@phandroid.com. You can also send us a tweet at MobileRoarcast. If you are a video watcher and you want to switch to a listener, our audio version is on Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher Radio, iTunes, Pocket Cast, whatever app you use. And those usually go out the Friday morning following the live show. And then you can follow us on Twitter. Chris is at GamerCore. Ashley is at Overlord Roar. I am at Tall Schmo. And we will see you guys next time. Later.